All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Mind of George Show. I hope you had a beautiful Thanksgiving if you live in a country where you celebrate that. And in the spirit of gratitude and giving and having just so much to be grateful for, I wanted to share a very special episode with you today. So we did a drop inside of our Alliance. Our Alliance is our community for entrepreneurs of every level, 5, 6, 7 figures, to have a community to help them focus on customer journey, marketing, and mindset to help them scale. And I do a drop and we share content with them. And this one landed at a very, very deep and profound level. And so we wanted to share it with you as a very special episode on the podcast. And so in today's podcast, which we also call a drop, we talk about how the first thing that typically goes out the window when it comes to running our businesses in life is us. We self-sacrifice, we throw it out the window, and how investing in ourselves is crucial for growth. The actions that we take every day are gifts for our growth, and the power of creating space, what you find in it, how to use it, and where to land, how having clarity with needle movers in your business and life are crucial for your success, understanding that what got us here won't get us there, and you must protect, and I mean protect wholeheartedly, your needle movers to succeed. Self-care is not selfish, it's necessary. And the big goal is identifying your queen bee role to focus your efforts, knowing where you get the most juice out of the squeeze, where you get the biggest return on your investment, and not hiding in the distractions or the noise that get in the way of you actually building the business of your dreams that you deserve to have, and how consistency in actions is what leads to measurable progress and the momentum that we're all looking for. And so I'm really excited to share this episode with you. I just want to say I love you. I appreciate you. And without further ado, let's get into the show. Today, we're going to be talking about the power of you, the power of space, and the power of needle movers. But I'm actually really excited as I'm bundled up because we just had our first snow. I was locked in the studio. I walked outside and it was snowing. And so welcome to the snow. Welcome to winter. I'm super, super stoked. Yeah, I just love the cold. That's really what I wanted to say. I love the cold and I love all of you. And so let's dive into today, right? So if I had to pick a bucket, today is really about mindset and then business operations, but talking about the power of you. I have been in the last couple of weeks on calls with probably 20 entrepreneurs ranging in every single revenue level while also getting coached on my own, realizing that the first thing that typically goes out the window is us, where we fall victim to the business, we let the world dictate our emotions, and it has been a deep invitation for me to get back to my quadrants and a reminder of putting myself first. But putting myself first really boils down to not checking boxes, not using the quadrants to ensure like, oh, look, I did it, but really leaning into it and understanding the power of investing in ourselves and growing, and knowing that these actions that we're taking every day and these wins that we're celebrating every day are actually turning us into the person, the entrepreneur, the husband, the father, the partner, the coach, the course creator, the podcaster, or whatever our label is that we want to be in the future. And just like we can't go to the gym in a day and be upset we don't get abs, we still have to protect the inputs and protect the process. But most importantly, we have to embody it and celebrate it at every single step of the way. And so the actions that we take every day are a gift. They're a gift for us to grow. They're a gift for us to learn. They're a gift for us to get stronger, get better at writing. And even for me personally, taking Instagram back over, as Ashley's been on a social media detox, which I love and I celebrate, as the invitation for me to get back on social media and start creating content. And magically, I went from struggling and overwhelmed to getting into a rhythm of consistency by adding it to my needle movers and checking the box. And I love it. I'm connecting with people. I'm answering questions. Our engagement's going up. I'm getting idea left and right. And I'm celebrating the process. But I say this to remind you that without you, your business can't run. And without you feeling happy and healthy and really clear on why you're doing things, you're not going to have the excitement, the energy, or the faith to keep going. Now let's talk about the power of space, right? Ashley back briefs me on everything, including myself, on the check-in calls, and I tell her everything. And one of the things that I even fall victim to is taking fake vacations or breaking my own containers and always having reasons or justifications. But truthfully, one of the most powerful tools that we have as an entrepreneur is a space reset, taking space away from the business or taking time off the field to fill our buckets, to allow clarity to land, and then to be able to choose where we go and spend our time. And so this is something that I have definitely learned how to flex the muscle with over and over in my life. And my success with it is really boiled down to my discipline and following it, right? And so I have a pretty tight container in my day because of my son. I drop him off at school at 8 a.m. Earliest I can get to the office is 9, and then I have to pick him up at 3 p.m. And truthfully, when I'm with my son, he demands my presence. And so having him in my environment is a very, very good thing for me to hold me accountable to this. But I also recognize that when I'm off my phone and I'm not thinking about the business and I'm investing in myself in that space, I'm not only refilling my bucket, but I'm reshifting my perspective. And it allows me the space to prioritize where I spend my time next. And that's where I move into needle movers. And needle movers really are one of the most important things that we can have in our life, because when we look at our business, when we look at our inputs, when we look at where we spend our time, there are actions that we take every day that create the outcomes that we want to achieve. And all too often, myself included, I become a victim to the circumstances around me. And then the first things get thrown out are the needle movers. I'm like, I know for me, my needle movers are simple. If I don't create content, right? If I'm not making a podcast, if I'm not making these drops, then nothing exists. If I'm not connecting with clients, both in this alliance, with clients that I coach one-on-one, with intensive projects or one-on-one coaching projects, then nothing in the business moves. And I know a third one is that if I don't create content, I can't create new engagement, new relationships, and new people to help serve. And so needle movers are really, really important, but they're only as powerful as our ability to protect them. And so I want to talk about needle movers because I think there's an important distinction that what got us here won't get us there. And sometimes in my weeks, sometimes in my months, my needle movers change. I have to reprioritize some. And so my needle mover with content used to be just, oh, I'm going to go create a video. Now I'm writing captions, I'm creating Instagram stories, I'm documenting B-roll. And so they're also not a rigid relationship. It's something that we look at, that we protect an outcome, and then we find and make a plan to prioritize and protect that. And I have learned that if I don't put it in my calendar, everything else will fill in around it. And for me, it's really, really important to plan those actions and behaviors that are going to get us the results or closer to the results to make the adjustments needed to be able to keep going. And so I felt like today's call and today's drop is an invitation to re-go over needle movers, right? And one of my favorite authors is Mike Michalowicz. But to give you some examples, Ashley was on a check-in call and everybody asked her about her needle movers. And the way that Ashley defines her needle movers is the team is number one, clients are number two, and then her inner circle world is number three. And with each one of her needle moving behaviors, she has a floor and a ceiling, right? So for her, taking care of the team first is the most important thing. And really the team is managing me as my mom and the team in Slack. And so at our minimum, she acknowledges all of them with a date where she'll fully reply in full or give exactly what she has to offer. And then the ceiling is that I hit all the tasks or hit the pieces that allowed me to bring them into integrity. And then when she goes to the clients, she goes the same way, where she acknowledges them and plans a date if she's going to deliver something, but the ceiling would be to deliver it in its entirety. And then once she has done taking care of the team and the clients, then she allows the outside world in. And if any of you have ever emailed Ashley, you get her autoresponder where she tells you that it's not the top of her priority list, but what she's protecting is her needle movers. And so she knows that if our team is good, then they can keep our impact and momentum moving forward. And then the team is out there creating connections, creating the assets. So then she moves on to the clients. And if the clients are good, then they're getting results, they're making progress. And so then, only then does she move into the inner circle world where we collaborate and start changing the world, hit the tasks, hit the needle movers, grab the projects that are maybe in the queue or in the parking lot and move on. And so for me, the way that I define needle movers is the same way that Mike Michalowicz defined needle movers. But I used this as an opportunity to go refresh myself on the book and write this out and say this out in a really simple process for you. And so when we think about needle movers, the easiest way that I find them are asking myself this simple question. What single role, if removed, would cause my business to fail, right? So this is different from what makes us money. It's the inputs that protect it. So for example, A course creator's queen bee role or needle movers might be content creation and not sales. A coach like myself, queen bee role or needle mover might be client transformation and not marketing. An agency owner might be quality control, not client acquisition. And so the way that Mike Michalowicz defines these is with the impact test. And so what he has you do, and I'm going to lay this out for you if you need a refresh, is you list all the roles that you currently perform. So for me, I'm writing captions, I'm creating Instagram content, I'm recording podcasts, I'm doing consulting calls, I'm doing fulfillment calls. What else am I doing? I'm checking my inbox, I'm responding to comments. And you list out all of the roles on a piece of paper, like everywhere that you spend your time in your day to day. And then what you do is you remove one role at a time mentally. And you're like, okay, what if I didn't do that? And the one that you would remove that would cause immediate business collapse is typically your queen bee role or your needle mover. And so then the way that Mike Michalowicz breaks these down is way deeper than I do. I don't break them down to a level of buckets. I break them down just into knowing what I'm going to accomplish that day or that week. And so for me, I know that one of my numero uno, and this is always it, my first queen bee role every single day is actually with clients. And so I'm responding to their messages, I'm looking at their emails, I'm helping them design strategy. And then my second queen bee role is content creation, right? Podcasts, drops, things that I need to create in order to be able to share with the world. And then my third one is actually sharing those with the world in that priority. And so the way that Mike breaks these down, which might be helpful for you, is he breaks them down into protection tasks, growth tasks, and then what is the third one? Documentation tasks. And so with a growth task, what he asks himself is what daily actions amplify my queen bee role or my needle mover's effectiveness. So an example would be for a coach whose queen bee role or needle mover is client transformation. One of those items might be reviewing client progress, updating transformation frameworks, and documenting successful client breakthroughs, something I'm working on right now. So those would be a growth task. And then when you get into the protection task. I skipped one. I did the growth task first. So I'll re-say this because I'm not going to edit this and I love you to pieces, but I have notes in front of me to make this really easy for you. So the first one is the protection task. What must happen daily to ensure that your queen bee role or your needle mover functions properly? So the example is if your content creation is your queen bee role, maybe it's 2 hours of undisturbed writing time, 1 hour of research and data collection, and content outline preparation. So that would be a protection task. So what items can you do or that can you identify that would protect your queen bee role or your needle mover to function properly? The next one, you're going to hear it twice, is the growth task. So what daily actions would amplify the effectiveness of your queen bee role or needle mover? So an example for a coach whose queen bee role or needle mover is client transformation, it would be reviewing client progress, updating transformation frameworks or models, and documenting successful client breakthroughs. And then the third one is what he calls documentation tasks. What needs to be recorded to make your queen bee role or needle mover replaceable? And that would be creating a standard operating procedure, recording the processes, or training team members. And so I love the way that he breaks them down. And so yours are either identified by the way that me and Ashley do it, or you can put them in this phase of a protection phase, a growth phase, and a documentation phase. Because if you're doing anything that isn't directly supporting your queen bee role, it's most likely a task that needs to be delegated or eliminated, or at minimum reprioritized to be done after your queen bee role. And so this is a really, really important distinction, because it's not that they're going to stick around forever. They're going to grow as you grow. They're going to change as your clients change. But our ability to take a step away, invest in ourselves, right? Put ourselves first and create the space allows us to go into this with a perspective where we can look at them and say, yes, when I do these and I hit these consistently, these are the results that I create. And my win and Ashley's win is applying the wedge of expectations on top of them as we always protect our consistency and our progress moving forward. And so I wanted to share this with all of you. So if maybe this is the invitation to relook at your needle movers or queen bee role, or to audit what's there to make sure they're in alignment, or for some of you to do for the first time and be like, yes, that framework really supports me. The growth phase or the protection phase, the growth phase, and the documentation phase, because the faster you can get clarity on the actions that you take and you can put them into paper, put them into a plan and follow them, the faster you're going to keep making progress in those results. And so to remind you of a few things, number one, you are the most important asset in your life and in your business. Love yourself first, fill your bucket. Number two, create space for yourself, even if it's 10 minutes a day. Or I love what Ashley does in the morning is every morning she writes out her tasks for the day because she has sacred space to tune in, to make a plan, and to feel aligned with what she's going to do. I do the same thing. And then number three is make sure that you're identifying your queen bee role and you're doing the behaviors to protect it, to grow it, and to document it so that when the time comes in the future, if the time comes, you can replace it and move on to another one. So I love you all to pieces. I appreciate you. That's what I got for today's drop, and I will see you on the next call.